Folks, welcome to Sweetwater. We are joined today by a friend of the program and a tremendous guitar player playing a concert tonight dedicated to John Coltrane. Henry Kaiser, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show, my man.
Hey, Jake.
So, when I talked to Braylove, he said that you actually did a lot of arranging of the tunes. You were working out a lot.
The drummer, John Hanrahan, is the leader. He asked me to do this, and then I conned him into taking some of my pals on board.
Right.
And he's done a Love Supreme, John has, many times with the normal Coltrane quartet instrumentation. And here we are with two guitars adding to that. And I just got organizationally minded one day and just made some structures out for us to follow, a blueprint, so to speak. Like Coltrane.
This is what I want the Kaiser approach to the Coltrane blueprint.
Well, there's a document you can find online if you look for Coltrane blueprint for Love Supreme, and you can see what he was doing. So, Love Supreme's like a door you go through to go to new places. It's not something like Lincoln Center Jazz does, where you try to do something very close to the record. That's not the point. John Coltrane found, like the was found by a Love Supreme, the same way the Grateful Dead were found by Dark Star. And it's like this external entity that can open some doors.
No, I dig this so much, man.
And go get some stuff. And so we've got more soloists. Instead of one saxophone and a piano player playing solos and bass and drums, we've got two guitars to make a racket too. So, and you don't want to have everybody making a racket all the time, so I just kind of arbitrarily went through it and said, okay, sax solo, guitar solo, but we can deviate from that blueprint script.
Well, this is what I want to talk to you about, because we're going through a time in pop music and at music at large where there's a formula trip going on. And
there's no formula here.
And that's what I want you to talk about, is the idea of being able to, just in your own play.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No problem. How have you gone from being, how much do your records, yeah. Can you just talk about the idea of, for your own music, you've done quite a few records.
I made about 300 albums.
Exactly. And when you play live, the expectation from the audience is that they're not going to hear verbatim what's on the record.
No, the whole point all the time is to do two things.
Yes.
One, to improvise, and to try things we've never tried before and see what happens.
Wow.
You could call that being experimental. You could call it what you want, but so improvise, make it up on the spot, and try things you've never tried before. That could be people who've never played before. That's playing music in a way that it hasn't been played before. Whatever. So that's what we're doing here with the through the Love Supreme Space-Time Gate.
In general, is this your first Hanrahan journey?
Yes, we've only been in the same room once before.
How did you got? So what was the spiritual connection there? Because I mean, with Kaiser,
he made a cold call to me, asking if I wanted to do Love Supreme with him.
Can you? I know that we're talking to a cat who's plays from the heavens. Do you find Miroslav Vichua said when he joined Weather Report, Wayne could play from the heavens, Alphonse Mouzon could play from the heavens. Interestingly enough, Zawinul, was as brilliant as he was, could not. He was too insecure, and he would bring it back to regular tunes. And he was still a badass, obviously. And that's just Miroslav talking. But can you talk about the music coming through you?
I mean, I just get out of the way. Basically, I am the shoemaker who goes to bed at night, puts out the saucer of milk for the elves. The elves make the shoes. I wake up in the morning. There's the shoes. I go put them in the store.
Are the elves? Is it always a dream state? I mean, the elves are just creating
it's something like that, but it's not a dream state. I actually don't dream, so I don't know about that. But no, it's just I just get out of the way. That's my job. Get out of the way.
But your fingers are still.
It's always been my job.
Yeah.
That's the kind of music I've liked, where the musicians tend to get out of the way. And John Coltrane, somebody who did an insane amount of practicing and woodshedding, but he isn't playing what he practices. He's getting out of the way.
He's getting out of the way of the channeling of the music.
He's getting out of the way of habits and things he's always done, and finding new things when he plays. That's all very evident from listening to live recordings. If you listen to the live recordings of Love Supreme he did, he takes it to totally different places than the studio version.
It's interesting because my ears, I get stuck in sort of like a Gulf Coast Crusaders bag too much, and I love Wilton Felder and that funk.
Oh, I love stuff like,
No, I'm not really talking about Kaiser. I'm saying my overarching point was I don't turn to Train for the musical part of it. I turn to it for the spiritual and the vibe. The vibe was that, Jimmy Cobb would say that women would stand up and say, make him stop playing that music, and people would walk out, and Eddie Henderson said they would boo him, and he did it anyway. So when you're doing something different, you always know you're gonna take shit from people. I want to know from you, as your own journey, how you've learned to really just be yourself.
I grew up in a music scene where that was encouraged.
Where was that?
Both the British free improvisation movement of the late 60s and early 70s, which I paid close attention to, and then the early improvising days in the Bay Area in the late 70s. And that's what the audience wanted. That's what I did. It's just it's secondhand. I don't even think about it. And I play for audiences that want that. I'm not trying to sell myself to a Joe Bonamassa crowd who's not going to want to hear what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. John Hanrahan. He blew my train of thought there. Can you talk about? I mean, my guru is C.G. Munoz. And I know that you talk about your relationship, how you guys connected, because
that's a very funny thing. To C.G. Munoz, I had his first album on Indian Navigation when I was in college.
Cecil McBee on bass. I got a sealed copy of that.
I had that album. And then years later, I saw that, I can't remember if it was an ad but I saw he had another album, Visiting This Planet, and I got the LP of that.
Absolutely.
And then I really liked it, and there was a phone number. And I called to C.G. up to say, hey, I really like this. And he was kind of defensive and kind of quiet and not outgoing. I was like, okay.
Probably so shy.
It might have been that time period too. It's a long time ago. That's a long time ago.
You were talking about visiting this
25 or 30 years
ago.
ago.
No, but I mean that.
So
tell me
when that phone call, and then later I called him again, and we just had a nice time talking, and we just got in the habit of talking on the phone every once in a while. And I didn't know about the whole kind of guru thing that was going on, and maybe he could take off his guru hat and I wasn't acting like a regular musician. I have no idea. And I always stayed in touch, and he invited me to make an album with him, which I did once a while ago, 12 or 15 years ago. And
did you go up to New York to be there?
We did it there. Yeah, it was with me and him and Lucas Ligeti, the son of the famous composer, on drums.
Wow.
Marilyn Crispell on piano, and it was Mark Dresser on bass. And me
Who chose the accompanist?
I said to CG, why don't we get these friends of mine that you'd like playing with?
Oh, I dig.
Yeah, and that got him playing with Marilyn.
Do you want to play something on the guitar?
Pardon?
Do you want to play something on the guitar?
No.
Okay, you just wanted to hold it.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, truthfully? I mean, I was with Kenny Barron in New York doing a Facebook Live, and the pianist, and I said, what is your mission when you take the stage? And he goes, it's to touch people's hearts, open their hearts. Can you talk about, with cosmic music from the heavens, how you're able to connect with lay people, especially if they've had digital beats crushed to their ears?
So my job, most people, they get hit by lightning, they die.
Right.
And my job is, I can get hit by lightning, and you can hold my hand, and you can see what it feels like. So that's my job, and I have no particular spiritual beliefs or anything about it. That's my job.
You're living it.
It's second nature. I don't even think about it. It's no big deal. It's like brushing my teeth. I don't even think about it. No big deal.
But Kaiser, how have you been able to manage your ego? Because that gets lost in translation with a lot of square cats.
It's not a problem.
How have you worked on it? Talk to peeps out there how you've worked on managing it. Because I can't.
When I was in second grade, I was locked in a room for 2.5 months without being able to come out or go outside or talk to anybody, because my parents were both in the hospital and I was put in an institution place. And so I, with no books, no nothing, no supervision, brought meals twice a day, nothing to do but sit in a chair and look at the wall. And, that was a good experience, actually. So that's
they thought you were
second grade. That's age 7, I believe.
What was the purpose? They thought
there was nowhere to put me, and that's back in those ancient days because I'm old.
Right. No. Well, Pat Martino had a tumor the size of his pear in the back of his head, and they put him in psychiatric wards and gave him electric shock therapy in the 70s. That was, this was primitive. We have grown in those areas.
But no, I'm basically not going to any effort or even think. Don't even think about what I do.
Right.
I don't even think about it. I think about loading the car to put the gear in to come here. I think about typing up the list for people, but I don't care.
What do you have in mind?
I'm not invested in anything except trying to make, a nice experience for audiences.
Talk to the peeps around the world about how to create new musical vocabulary on the bandstand.
I have no idea. That's what I've always done. Talk to the fish about how to swim.
But I mean, come on.
I never thought about it.
You're taking stuff out.
I did it from the first day I played. I don't even think about it. It's what my heroes did. I learned from listening.
So you learned from just playing
from playing records, LPs, and I never thought about it, and I just do what I do. And the tools, the guitars, the hardware, the pedals, I think about that. Or I think about, once in a while, well, if my hands could do this, but it's not like the way most people think about stuff. That's just the way I am. You are volleying strong here,
but can you talk about the most important qualities of leadership on the bandstand? And what I mean by that is you're going into a gig tonight, all the guys are going to be listening.
You make sure everybody gets paid, that they get their friends on the guest. It's just
that on the bandstand. I'm not talking about hemming and hawing about cash.
I don't think about the other stuff.
But what I'm saying is when you have everybody collectively listening to each other and playing that music, can you talk about what a gratifying feeling it is? Listen,
you're saying talk to the fish about what a gratifying feeling is to swim. I don't think about it. It's not something that I think about. It's not part of my job.
So you're in it. Are you looking to inspire peeps?
People to have a good experience, and they feel happy that they spent their money to come see us. And I, do specialized kinds of music, so it's a specialized audience who comes to that. But I do what I can for the kind of audience that shows up to make them have the best experience and to make my colleagues on the stage have a good experience with me and try to listen to them and be good. But I don't think about that stuff. That's just, it's second nature.
What do you think about? The blueprint to Coltrane?
Nothing. Nothing. When I play, I don't think about anything. I think about if the guitar's in tune or if it gets out of tune, or should I switch to I'm playing the red and white polka dot guitar, maybe I should switch to the blue guitar. I don't know. You
have two apparatuses here tonight?
I don't really think about anything much.
I dig. No, I completely. It was funny. TCG and Miles met one time, and they backed into each other on the streets in New York, and they kind of turned around and they both got into boxing positions. And they didn't swing. They were just like, "What's up?" And they went on. But So do you have any? Is it something with you where you operate where even ideas will just sort of germinate, or are you thinking about what you might do this year as far as
really nobody's home. I don't think about anything. I think about a record I want to make. Like, for instance, I was backstage at a John McLaughlin show.
When?
And the Warfield a month or so ago.
Was Crosby playing on Lynn?
Yes. And Jeff Sipe was playing drums. I'd never met Jeff Sipe, and I love his drumming. I said, "Jeff, let's make a record." And he's like, "Sure." And then I thought, who do we get to play? And I thought, my friend Andy West. We haven't done something for a long time.
Beautiful.
He'll be coming off the Dregs tour, and he's going to sound great. I say, "Andy, you want to make a record with me and Jeff Sipe?" "Sure." I mean, so that's
right. I dig.
That's all the thinking that
quick.
goes on.
It's good.
And you have a tiny prayer of selling 500 to 1,000 copies of it nowadays, because it's the end times for selling recorded music. It seems like.
When I did a couple of interviews with Stanley Clarke, and what he told me was that Chick and Lenny and him and McLaughlin, if you sat them in a room, all of them were trying to channel the spirit of John Coltrane. I'm talking around the early 70s after John had already passed. Was he the most influential musician for you?
Hardly influential at all. This is the first time I've really closely listened to Coltrane was now.
Beautiful. What has been the experience like?
No, it's nice. I mean, it's nice
because I haven't listened to him.
He's a great ancestor of many people I like, from Tuskegee to John McLaughlin in the guitar world, from saxophone players like Evan Parker that I love.
Evan Parker, I love that.
So, you know, who are my heroes? My heroes are Derek Bailey, Conlon Nancaro, Terry Riley, Evan Parker, and then a lot of people that on ethnic music records from other places, and then a million guitar players. But, you know, the people I play with are my heroes. But my heroes I grew up with, the most important ones, the first ones I mentioned.
I know you have a big heart, and I want to end this interview by asking you your concept of love. How you bring love to this world, and don't say it's because you just said the elves are the ones that are cooking the groove upstairs.
No, I don't know. I try to be honest and generous and kind and all those, you know, Boy Scout things. And
yep.
You know, there's so many different kinds of love for people, for animals, for things you do, and you just want to, you know, broadcast as much love as you can all the time. And somebody exemplary of that would have been B.B. King, who you can't argue. He's on stage. He's radiating love to the whole audience. You know, people like Carlos Santana go like, oh, I want to be like that. And they get some of it. But there's not many people who can do that. You know, I can think of a lot of great Hindustani musicians who could do that if they, when they wanted to, and people from world music and stuff. But, and I could, you know, that's the thing to try to do. And that's the thing to try to do with your life at home or whatever, right?
Henry Kaiser, I wish you tremendous luck.
Thank you.
And it's a love supreme, man. Much love. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.